Welcome to me overanalyzing every single chapter in Houseki no Kuni because I am a maniac. Um, Spoilers for up to 105, and again, let me know in the comments if there's anything you observed that I don't. Last time we left off on a very high, happy, very lovely note of Foss losing their arms. It's a daily occurrence. Anyway, I in fact did not look up how to say that word, so forgive me for mispronouncing absolutely everything. Chapter 17, the Shore of Nascencia. See, someone in the comments correct my pronunciation or tell us how to pronounce it. I have no idea. Anyway, here's Antark with a lovely, happy expression on their face as they pull up a limbless Foss from the lovely ice water. Um, so yeah, I don't have much to say about that panel in general. Just Antark's shocked face kind of says it all. Um, your arms, yeah. And so again, Foss is elevated in the frame now, but only because to see the lack of arms, and it again the composition of the shot is just very good in the fact that uh, arms are gone, and it communicates that very well. My words are gone today. Anyway, then we have Antark again. Their expression says it all. Your arms, and I love how the bubbles it tells you how they're saying it just because your arms is in one bubble. Yeah, this is all a more like action packed chapter. So oh, I didn't even point this out last time. I don't think did I? No, actually, maybe it's not. It's not. No, okay. Oh, I'm thinking of a different one. Never mind. So Antark leaves Foss and just goes dumps in. Foss is yeah, doing great over there, and yeah. See, the underwater shots are so cool, but they're different from the underwater shots from before because this is, winter, and so instead of it being a nice, calming, peaceful place, it's very much not. And the action here is just very cool, and Antark grabbing their hand before it's destroyed. And as see, it's very bright here, and it gets there, and I believe because it shows Antark's point of view as they sink further and further, and like the composition and like the way Ichikawa has designed these shots is so interesting because you would just like show them descend further and further down, but instead you see the bright light of the sky get farther and farther away, and then Antark just repeating "gone, gone, gone, gone." It's so good, and again their expression says everything, and then they hit the bottom, and it's a completely dark panel, a full page, and it's really good. Uh, Phospholites arms have been lost. New development. Arm update. Um, Congo is making a very happy face right here. If you can't tell, I'm completely not sarcastic, but like this is probably the most emotion that we've seen Congo make, like in general, and like Antark takes responsibility. It was my fault. I'm terribly sorry. Duh. Like this is also the exact thing that Foss was talking about at the beginning of the chapter, of like this happened with the amethyst and Congo too. Did Congo apologize? Or the amethyst said that it was their fault when this when things happened, and now Antark is doing it too. Even though Antark was like, no, you should have gotten blamed or something like that for. I think it's because they care about Foss. Anyway, and I love how the pencil goes outside of the panel here. It just shows in like how it's rolling and just like going away. But and it kind of like takes away of what Foss is saying here, like in a sly way. But like Foss is like saying like, please get mad at me, because Foss wants to be validated in their perception that they did something terrible and that they deserve to be yelled at. Um, which is not a very healthy thing to have. But they're like, but I obviously did it to myself. Like just that trailing end, just like Foss blames themselves because it was something they thought about, even though it was an accident. I'm certain I searched everywhere, but I will go look again. It just shows how much Antark cares too, because I bet Antark like it talks about how like Antark is a loner and all that stuff, Antark um just because Antark, you know, does the winter duty by themselves, and Congo's usually the only person. So I bet they really do like Foss's company in that fact, and they probably are just feel terrible that like basically they're babysitting Foss, their arms got off, you know. Um, I will go look again, and like it's just sad. This is my fault for being careless. So then see, then it goes to Congo. Then it goes to Congo blaming Congo as well. No, I'm sloppy. I'm not used to working as a team. I've never messed up this bad before. And you see how like Foss's face says it all here, just with the dread in their eyes, as like Foss, as like what Antark is saying is just covering them, because like Foss is realizing how much their actions have affected Antark, and how Foss can't even get a word in because their mouth is covered by the speech bubble. Because now everyone is blaming themselves because of Foss, and this is further emphasizing Foss's view that they're a burden, and that they just cause problems, which is what they think, and that they uh like and that they like want to benefit someone. That's the reason why they so want to help Cinnabar, is because they just want to be a benefit to someone. And I know I've repeated this so much in the videos, but it's like that's why Foss feels so bad like for everything like they do, and it's not even the worst part of it yet in this story. It's just so good, so happy. It fills me with such joy, um, or and not totally not dread, but like it's just so sad. Like even just with this panel, you just know that Foss feels so guilty for it. Um, I don't know what to do. And another thing too is it shows that Antark and Congo have more concern for Foss than Foss does themselves. And that's really sad too. Like Antark is like, we need to get Foss's arms back. Antark plunged into the water because they cared so much about Foss that they were going to risk getting shattered to pieces, like they said before, that they weren't at enough hardness yet. And it's just like so sad that like they care so much about Foss's well-being and Foss doesn't themselves. And Foss doesn't understand why it's a big deal that they're like. Foss doesn't even understand why it's a big deal. Like it's so sad. I've messed up this bad before. Like Foss is acting like it's completely fine. Don't worry about it. I will worry about it. Like Antark and Congo are concerned about Foss. They like of course like your limbs are gone, and Foss is just like nonchalant, like oh it's okay, like I didn't need my arms, they weren't important to me. And another thing is that it emphasizes later, like with how Antark is so protective over their memories and their body parts because they don't want to, whereas Foss doesn't care. Foss is like, it's not a big deal that I lost a bunch of my memories again and my arms, and it's fine. I don't need them. They're not useful to me. They're not like Foss doesn't even see them as a part of themselves, and it's really sad. Um, well, come on, it'll work out with my legs, right? And like Foss is getting like a positive reward for bad things that they've happened to them too. Like, like that's the thing, is that we think that it's their physical like their physical capabilities like get better, but they don't realize that their mental health goes down every single time it happens. Do you remember that we have no material to rebuild you with? Yeah, like they do. They you seem very unconfident there, Foss. Like, did Foss forget about that? Like, again, we don't even know because they don't tell us what memories are gone when Foss loses their arms. And I guess that hesitation is why Congo says this next. Like, do you know what you must do? Like, because they're like, does Foss even remember the things? I have no idea. I give up. I'm sure somewhere in the ocean, my hands are raised in surrender. Like, Foss is funny anyway. Um, that was fast. See, so Foss doesn't hesitate there, and so like with something like with a memory of like that, just remembering if they have that, like they're hesitant on it. With asking if Foss is able to know anything that they have to do, they're very quick to say like I have no idea. And again, it just shows like their unconfidence and lack of memories and everything going perfectly well. I have no idea. And see, like Foss's memories are just gone, and I'm sure Congo is very sad at this. Like I'm sure like we don't get to know much about like besides like the shocked expression. Like I'm sure like for everyone, for Congo and Cinnabar specifically, it must be torture to just watch something they care about a lot, just lose all their limbs. Anyway, search the Shore of Nascency. Then Foss goes, where's that again? I love the whisper bubble. The beach in the southwest. You really don't have much memory, do you? And like Antark like points that out because like I bet Antark is like when Foss lost their arms, it's probably like that's the most thing that would concern me. And like we hear that later from Antark, it's just like, man, your memories are gone. Doesn't that suck? And Foss is like, no, not really. It also just shows that Foss doesn't have any value in those memories. They don't have values in their body, and they don't have values in their memories, and that's why they are susceptible to becoming a whole different person that they come later. Is just because those things are important to them. Preserving who their past self isn't important. Um, the Shore of Nascency is where you were all of you were born. And then Antark gives all the lore bits for the Lustruses and how they're formed. And now this is interesting. So we see a person being formed. Foss is obviously very like interested in that. And then this is the ruby they use later for Paparaja. It is extremely rare to become one of us. Most of them never make it to full crystallization. And so it's interesting that this is the frame, like it's showing Foss here. Like most of them never make it to full crystallization, kind of showing that Foss is fortunate to be one of those few to be born. The lucky cognitive few are educated by sensei, welcomed into the fold, given a role, and become who we are now. And this is what Foss was like. Do you remember any of that? Bits and pieces. I see. And then, that. And then Foss, I'm waiting for the part. No good, it's all gold and platinum. This part. And again, Foss is just always like in the lower frame. Oh, I guess here, like Foss is kind of saying. I think for here, it's like saying like they're both gems, like they were both born this way. No good. It's all gold and platinum. No good. Foss is like wondering why these materials aren't good. Because like to them, like they're materials. Like Foss doesn't mind whatever it is. Gold and platinum are extremely soft and malleable, but more than that, they're heavy. We can't use them. Oh, and then like this is the part where I was gonna say after they finally got to be born and everything. So here Antark is saying that the gold and platinum are pretty much useless to them, which is interesting because like people see gold and platinum as very valuable, like in our society, but they don't see that in the gem society because of the reasons they just listed. And Foss is saying like after they got to be born and everything, like they're saying that like gold and platinum are useless to them, and that's kind of like how all the gems view Foss. And so Foss is kind of, I bet Foss was able to bond with such an affinity with the gold and platinum because they saw themselves in that gold and platinum because they're like, oh, you finally got to be born, but people think that you're useless or not useful or something. And so I think that's why Foss bonded with the gold and platinum. And Antar kind of like looks at Foss like here, like no words are being said, but like I guess like Antar is kind of looking like them, like they would never think to say that or something, like Antark themselves. And this goes into Foss's empathy. Because Foss is like the only character in the show who really shows like a lot of empathy. And even here, Foss's empathy for the materials that didn't actually get to be born. And that is one of the things that is really carried in the show is Foss's empathy and like empathy for Cinnabar and all that stuff. And it's their empathy that leads them to do their deranged things. I attached a temporary. I'm going to let go now, and then then put them on the arms. Wow, that's what I thought. But your body didn't reject it. It's possible that your inclusions like it, and so like it's like this is like I think that like Foss's body didn't reject it because Foss had empathy for it and had like an affinity to it or something like that. And another thing too is that like they talk about the inclusions as if they're separate from Foss. And I guess that's technically true because Foss the Full Light is talking about the material that Foss is made of. The Foss's inclusions are the ones that accept these new materials into Foss and eventually becomes a whole different being. And it's interesting that we're like the inclusions like it. So how do we know that like this is Foss, right? How do we know that further we get into the series, it's more of Foss's inclusions that we meet instead? And so it's very interesting. But that's a whole nother video. The problem is the weight. Could we make them hollow? Like that's what Antarctica is suggesting, just because they're like, how can we like use this to give Foss somewhat arms, and like we see how that's useful later. But and then this is such a dark panel, and then it gets brighter, and that's a problem because of the sun. Because see, it gets brighter, and you can see how much brighter it gets with the shadow that's being cast on Antarc's face. Let's detach it for now. We're going back because Antarc's looking at the sun. This is good right here. So then, like, the sun is shining on the platinum. Like, we see that with the harsh shadow, and then the lighting of it, and then we just see the gold grow, and then Foss's face, and this this is such a powerful like reaction from Antark, just because the eyes are the only thing we really see, and because of the harsh shadow, it really just shows like the mood of just like, that's bad. It might not come off, and like Foss's face like gives a very good horrified expression for this one, and just saying like it might not come off as it's like fully enveloping Foss. And then of course the Lunarians show up, and then we have the shine back from the sun coming out. Uh, oof, what a lovely image. Um, so yeah, and then we'll go over chapter 18, Antarcticite, next time. But let me know if you have any other observations for this. Um, I I felt like I didn't have as many for this chapter, just because there was a lot more action and a lot more going on. Um, but let me know if there's like anything of like the character interactions here. I really think like it's really sad how much like Antark like felt regret and sadness that the fact that like Foss lost their arms, and Foss is like very casual about it. The character like dialogues actually like Antark only exists in this volume, right? Like it's kind of crazy how Antark only exists in this volume, and they become such a prominent character just because like every scene they're in, like you learn more about Antark, and you know who Antark is like through the scenes that you meet them in, and that's why like they just stick with you despite that. Especially like their contrast with Congo and Foss and how they're different. It helps you really know who they are as a character. So even if they're not in the material for that long, it really like cements them. Um, but yeah, we'll talk more about Antarcticite in the next chapter, I guess. Thank you for watching, as always, and leave in the comments anything that you think I got wrong or observed differently or analyzed differently. I like hearing your other opinions. Thank you. Bye.